Value refers to the lightness or darkness of a hue. Different values can be attained using different techniques or in different mediums like markers or watercolor, pencil. So we're going to do some small value scales using different materials. We're going to start with a pencil, and we've done something similar to this at the beginning of last quarter, and we're going to start by putting our darkest value all the way to the left. And I'm going to say this: if you are left-handed, you're going to reverse this. You're going to put your darkest values here so you're not dragging your hand through the graphite. Right-handers, we're going to go darkest values to the left and work our way to the right. Okay, so first block we're taking to a pure blackout. I would be using your ebony pencil. With the next one, you're doing that line after line technique, so it's nice and smooth and there's no white areas showing. And as you come up the scale, you are just going to lighten the value by lightening your pressure. So in each one of these, I'm aiming to fill the whole box, and I'm going to go lighter and lighter. And then on this last one, I'm just going to use the value that's left in my blending stub, so it'll be really smooth. And I'm just going to smooth through these gently so I don't darken them too much. And you should see a difference in each one as it goes darker on the scale. I'm not going to smooth the darkest one because it'll load this too much. So we should see a difference, and there should be value in each one. For hatching, you're going to use your Micron pen, and we're going to do this. We're going to hatch. Hatching is going to be lines that go one direction. So on the first one that you hatch, you're going to go very, very close, almost taking it to like a blackout. So the first one I always established, and it's going to be as dark as we can get it. And we're going one direction. We're not going across it. So I'm going to do one direction, and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to start on the other end of the scale, and I'm going to define what my lightest value is. And I'm going to do that by lightening the pressure with the pen and by fragmenting the lines. So on the first one, we're going to have these light fragmented lines, and there's lots of space in between them. And then I'm going to work my way down. So this one, the lines are tighter together. I'm still not putting tons of pressure on the pen. Next one, even closer. And they don't have to be full length lines. They could be shorter, but they're directionally going one direction. Okay, so here I'm hatching tighter. And each time I go down, I'm going to be going tighter and darker. And sometimes I put in, this is a little bit dark. I probably should have gone a little bit lighter, but it'll just mean I have to adjust more on the end of this scale. So I'm going to come into my one here and just start building up the line. So it's a matter of building up. Okay, so my first one, I'm going to do my best to take it to a blackout. Then I'm going to adjust this one. And each time I come up the scale, I'm going, so I have to adjust this one a little bit, and this one maybe just a little more. What I'm doing is I'm looking. So once I put down some values, I'm then sort of like backing up and I'm taking a look at my scale. This one to me could be a little bit lighter, but once you put your lines down in a micron, that's it. So you've got to adjust accordingly. Okay, that works better. All right, next, I want you to find just a basic pen, like a ballpoint pen would be fine. Any type of pen, it can be blue, black, whatever color you want. If you have pink and green, I don't care. In this, we're going to cross hatch. So I'm going to do this first. I'm going to come through and I'm going to build a scale with hatching. And I'm going to space them a little looser. The first one I'm definitely going to do dark. The next one I'm leaving spaces. As I come up the scale, I'm going to leave more gapping between my lines until here it's fragmenting. Then I'm going to go across, and for me it's easier if I turn it. I'm going to pull across, and I'm going to open my lines up. I'm trying to sort of match what I did the other direction. That'll make sure as I come up the scale that it's lightening in each one. Here's just a fragment. And then I'm also going to diagonal hatch. So cross hatching can be many directions, and it's layering of lines. And I'm going to go the other diagonal direction. And I'm each time opening up the line sort of to match what I did before. And I should have a scale that goes from dark to light. For the last one, I would say let's use a colored pencil. So I'm going to just get a colored pencil. I'm going to pick a darker value, and we're going to stipple. Stippling is doing tiny dots, and the colored pencil will give you like a bigger dot. So you're actually, a dot is going to be in colored pencil, you're pulling a tiny short line, but it should look like a dot. So when I'm putting this down, I'm literally putting it down, and then as I pull back, I'm picking it up. So I'm going to do my lightest value, and then in each one of these I'm building more dots. So I'm going to, and there shouldn't be big slashes. Like I don't want to see big lines or dashes. If you have big lines or dashes, you haven't stippled. Alright, now got sort of a medium amount. I'm going to start really pushing the value. So in this one, I'm going to start putting them really close together, filling almost to a blackout. Probably, yeah, I would use a dark color pencil like blue, violet, or black, or something like that. Next one, more white showing, but the first two are going to be pretty dark. And then as I come up the scale, so this one's going to go a little bit darker. And sometimes it's, if you leave a hole or a gap somewhere, it affects the overall value of the whole block. So like if you have one spot that's big, it will affect the entire block. So this one needs to go even tighter. Okay, so let's see how I did. Alright, so now, to me, this looks darker than this one. And it's because I didn't use as tight of a dot. So I'm going to have to darken this one a little bit. I'm going to have to darken this one a little bit. So I'm just going to go into some of those white areas. That's better. And this one a little bit. So I'm just backfilling, so I make sure I have the progression from dark to light. And it's just a matter of, like I stop and I'm looking at the scale as a whole, but it should go from dark to light for righties. If you're lefty, you can work in reverse. Now, value can be used to create the illusion of form. So as we start shading in our warm-ups and shading our work, we're going to be using value, and we're going to be using pen and ink for one of our big projects this year. Now, in a painting, if you have a painting that's made of mostly light values with very little contrast, where everything is light, we call that a high key painting, and it suggests, happiness, light, joy, airiness. When you have something that's low key, or if you hear somebody use that word, that means the image is almost all dark values, and there's little contrast, meaning like everything looks dark. There's no bright light and contrast. Everything's dark, And often low-key painting suggests sadness or loneliness and sometimes misery. So you are going to submit this, and you're done.